Hi, everybody. I'm Cindy Griffin with Homeopathy Center of Houston, and I want to welcome all of you this afternoon if you're in Central and Eastern Time, and everybody west of us, a late good morning. I hope that you're going to find this webinar really useful. We are going to cover quite a bit of ground, really, and show you a couple of ideas about some of our kids. I'm going to give everybody a few minutes. Let's see. We're still just right about at 8 o'clock in a little bit. So just a little bit of housekeeping. If you are watching this webinar right now and you are having difficulty seeing me or hearing me, one of the things you can do that'll help is to close all of your tabs. If you've got a browser open, close your email. You might want to check to see if somebody's streaming live in another room, because that will eat up your bandwidth. But we seem to be broadcasting in pretty decent form, so I think we'll be okay today. All right, so welcome again. I will have a little bit of housekeeping to do. Over on your right, you will have a blue bar that has various icons. We have the chat turned off for the first part. We will have a Q&A section towards the end, and I'm going to do my best not to prattle on too long and take up too much of your time, but I think we've got a lot of really, really good information. I hope that there will be some takeaway points that you'll be happy with before you finish up today. So you may want to take a note or two, just some things that you can do right now that will help your child, things that maybe you don't know about. We will be doing another webinar in about 2 weeks, I believe, that will focus on the gut, the problems of the gut in autism. And that will hopefully give you some more information on things you can do to get your child healthier, as healthy as you can possibly make him or her, even without our help. So we're trying to make these, useful for everybody, whether you work with us or not. There's just so much information that we have learned over the years about autism. And we really want to get this out because so many parents are being told that their kids are hopeless, that there is nothing that they can really do for their children, and nothing could be further from the truth. And we want to get that out to everybody. I know that a lot of the younger parents, this all may be very new to you. It's not new to us. We were speaking we were educated by Defeat Autism Now many years ago, and for several years running lots of workshops. We've spent a lot of hours sitting in conference chairs, digging out a lot of information, sitting in trainings, as well as our own clinical experience, which has been with thousands of kids. And when kids do homeopathy, they really seem to do well, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So give me just a second here. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Again, for those of you who are late coming in, you might want to make sure that you've closed down all of your various browser windows, anything that's going to take up your bandwidth so that you'll have a good experience with us. And turn off your cell phone, grab a pen and a piece of paper, and let's roll. So welcome again. This is the Autism Relief and Support Program discussion. We are Homeopathy Center of Houston. I represent one of 4 homeopaths, and we have been working with autism for quite some time. So let's get all of the little extras out of the way that we have to cover. Of course, we are not medical doctors. We don't represent ourselves to be medical doctors. We are professional homeopathic consultants, and We are providing information and our opinions, and yes, we have experience with our kids that we get from our parents, but this is for educational and informational purposes. Don't try this at home. Uh-oh. Let's see. I got stuck. Sorry about that. Any of the claims here are based on clinical observations, parent reports. They have not been evaluated by the FDA. And our case studies are being used by permission of the parents. And of course, these are just some specifics, some generalities. And of course, each person is going to be an individual, and everybody's experience will be somewhat different. So we're going to cover a broad range here. One of the things we want you to walk away from this thinking is that you should never, ever give up on your child. This is one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite people, Sir Winston Churchill. This was from a speech of his during World War II, during the infamous bombing of Britain. And he stirred his entire nation. And I want you to be stirred to never give up on your child. You're going to be your child's best advocate, and you absolutely are going to be the person who's going to fight, who's going to do all of the things that you need to, who's going to stand up to the doctors and the psychologists who are going to tell you, put your child away, as you're going to see some of our kids have had that experience. And I would love for you never to have that experience. But if you do, just dig in your heels. Your child has many things that can be helped, and we are happy to share our information and help your child. Okay, we're stuck. I wonder what's going on with my PowerPoint. Give me just a moment here. Okay, so what problems have been helped by this program? Here's just a little word cloud, but this doesn't even begin to touch the various things that are going wrong with the kids that we have heard back from parents that are already seeing improvements. Gut discomfort and pain is a big one, and we'll talk more about that later. Things like diarrhea or constipation have improved. We've seen kids who have actually had speech and communication improvements. We've seen tantrums downplayed. We've seen self-harming behaviors improve. They're just a world of things that you're dealing with right now with your child that we can help with the autism program. All right, so here is one of our stories. This came in from a mom just a few weeks after she started working with the Autism Relief and Support Program. Now, you may see around the internet the Autism DIY Plus program. That was the original name, but we've made some tweaks and improvements. And this is even, all of this happened before the improvements and tweaks. So her son started using full sentences instead of just one or two words, and started speaking appropriately for the first time in 10 years after just a few weeks on the relief and support program with us. She saw some improvements in his vision. He had some visual issues, and those got better. Fewer tantrums. That's always a good thing that parents want to hear about, as well as sleep improvements. And just overall, she said he seemed happier. So that's always, that's a good sign that a child is feeling better, when just generally they seem happier. Okay. Now, we had another mom who had 2 children, and she said, overall, I have seen progress in both of my kids. That's always a great thing. She said that her son's improvements included, he had had nosebleeds, and they were pretty chronic, and those pretty much disappeared on the program. He was having regular bowel movements, and constipation had been a problem. And the bowel movements over time were starting to be a little less odoriferous, because those, sometimes the bowel movements actually smell worse at the beginning of the program because we're detoxing. And when bad things leave, they don't smell real good going through the system. He started talking more. He was happier. And a lot of the kids, and maybe your child, has these dark circles around the eyes. And it's often a sign of food sensitivities. It can be just an overall sign that their gut is bothering them. And one of the things that this mom noticed was the dark circles disappeared. And with her daughter, she said the dark circles have gone away. Again, same thing. Bowel movements became more regular, less smelly. Her mood became much more even. And she was a little bit older and her acne got better. She had apparently had chronically bad breath and it didn't smell bad. So that's always a good thing. And overall, she just seemed healthier. So her words were, the mom's words were, overall, I have seen progress in both. I'm just going to keep plugging at it inch by inch. Thank you so much. Now, something to remember about this program. There are no magic bullets in autism anyway. And this program, we're not representing it as a magic bullet. It's not going to fix everything your child has going on. And it certainly is not going to happen all at once. These parents did have this kind of responses early on. We've had kids, most of our kids are reporting some improvements. And while these may seem very subtle, they are huge signs of healing. And that's what we want to look for. Okay, so what is homeopathy? Let's talk for just a moment about what it is, because some of you may not be familiar with homeopathy. Okay, seems like when I do something different, somehow my advancing doesn't happen, so bear with me. I have to find a different way. All right, homeopathy is its own healing method. It is not herbs. It is, I'm going to tell you what it's not for just a minute. Homeopathy is not anything holistic. Homeopathy is its own very specific science. It is not herbology. It is not essential oils. It is not naturopathy. All of those things are fine, but they are not the same as homeopathy. Homeopathy is its own healing modality. It is very specific. It was discovered by a German MD, Samuel Hahnemann, experimented because he felt like there had to be a gentler, safer way to help his patients. So he started experimenting with smaller and smaller dosages of conventional medicines, excuse me, like the mercury for syphilis. And then he diluted the dosages, and he found that as he diluted them, they were actually more restorative and without the side effects like, death or, brain damage, little minor things. So medicine was as deadly then as it is now. It was just different. Today, our homeopathic remedies are typically very highly diluted, and virtually any substance, animal, vegetable, mineral, that can be diluted and over and over again can be turned into a homeopathic medicine. Why would you want to do homeopathy with your child? Homeopathy is a holistic or whole body, mind, body, spirit approach. Behavior, emotions, all of it is covered. And your kids have a lot of things that are just not functioning right in their bodies that have created what has come to be known as okay, is everybody able to hear? Okay, I'm noticing that we're having some problems with connections. Let me take a break right now before I go off into why you'd want to do homeopathy. You need to make sure that you turn off your email. You want to close your browser other than what you're watching right now, all your other browser tabs. And if somebody is streaming in your house, you're probably not going to be able to see or hear this. So let's see. Lyndall is out there answering questions right now. Okay, we don't have sound. Oh, this is not a good thing. Okay, Lyndall, can you hear me? Can anyone hear me? Okay. Okay, I'm asking if anybody can hear me in the chat. Okay, looks like we do have sound. All right, again, I'm going to just emphasize, if you have email open, if you have other programs open on your computer, the more of your computer resources you can free up. If somebody is streaming in your house, they're probably going to interfere. Okay, I'm going to back up to where I was here. So right here, homeopathy is a whole body approach. Sorry about that. I think everybody is up and hearing now. I hope so. So homeopathy is a holistic or whole body approach to detoxification and healing. It is a very healing modality. We have found that just cleaning up things is often enough for healing to happen. And that's where we start. It is pharmaceutical, drug, and chemical free. It is non-toxic because, as I mentioned, the remedies that we use today are quite highly diluted. So you're really talking nano medicine. It's non-suppressive. So it's not just going to mask symptoms temporarily, it's going to actually be healing and detoxifying during the whole process. The remedies are definitely, their production is FDA regulated. Everything in our program that you would be getting are made in the United States in FDA regulated, inspected, and overseen homeopathic pharmacies. And the overseeing structure is the Homeopathic Pharmacopoeia Congress of the United States. And the Homeopathic Pharmacopoeia of the US is where all of our remedies are listed that are used in this program. And because our kids are very highly toxic, excuse me, and they are sensitive to all kinds of things, then you want gentle medicine. And homeopathy is just about as gentle and yet powerful medicine as anything that I know of, which is why it is my medicine of choice for myself, my family, as many of my friends and employees as I can get involved. So homeopathy is really, really safe, and that's a big thing when you've got a child with autism. There has never been a single substantiated death that has been attributed to homeopathic medicine in over 200 years. The medical world kills a new person with properly prescribed drugs about every 150 minutes. There has never been a single permanent disability caused by a homeopathic remedy, which, if you're here, you may or may not be aware that some of the pharmaceutical products, such as vaccines, may be contributing heavily to your child's autism. We can't do that. If we tried, we can't do that. The remedies are very well tolerated by everybody from newborns through the elderly. It's very, very gentle, and they're safe with oversight by a professional homeopath, even for pregnant or lactating women, for the newborns, and for the elderly. So it's very gentle. And part of that is because of the dilution factor. The active ingredient contexts are so infinitesimally small to the parts per trillion or higher level, and they are truly non-toxic because of that. Is it regulated? As I mentioned, the remedy manufacturing has been regulated in the U.S. by the FDA ever since the 1930s in all but 2 states in the United States. As a profession, homeopaths are typically not subject to licensure, but there are certainly certification boards. There are a lot of CEUs. There are many, many homeopaths out there who are MDs. We are not, but there are homeopaths who are. The remedies themselves are manufactured in FDA registered and inspected and documented homeopathic facilities. The manufacturers are held to very high FDA standards, higher actually than vaccines are held to. And that doesn't give me warm fuzzies about taking my flu shot, so I don't do flu shots. They are held overseas even to very high standards, current good manufacturing standards for safety and purity, much more strictly than drugs or vaccines. They are actually pedigreed from the raw material all the way through production. And the remedies that we use, as I just said, are made in U.S. facilities. And the homeopathic pharmacopoeia is registered under the FDA. So all of the monographs that tell us what our remedies do are definitely registered and overseen by FDA. Why is homeopathy good for autistic kids? Well, I've already mentioned that it is gentle. It's non-toxic, and most of our kids are very highly toxic. It can detoxify the body, and detoxification is very important for all of us. If you're breathing some pollutants. If you wash, you're probably soaking up some chlorine or fluoride. And just detoxification alone is enough to help strengthen the body towards the healing process. And we do have remedies in this program that help tonify or tone the body. There are no side effects. However, homeopathy is a detoxification process, and the symptoms, which actually can come up with some kids, are usually just the way the body rids itself of the toxins. They're usually very gentle, very short-lived, and that is one of the reasons that we truly sell almost nothing out of our practice without professional oversight, so that we can give you an idea of what to expect. Because they're not going to be anything that's harmful. It's going to be the body doing what it should do, but our professional expertise is part of what you're paying for with this program, so that we can keep you on board and, answer your questions from our vast years of knowledge. So why did we create a totally new program in our practice? Part of it is because we know that a lot of the newbies out there, even the parents who've been around for the last few years, you go to search, there's not a lot of research, and what you do find basically says, just give your child a bunch of drugs, it's a genetic disorder, there's no hope, and nothing could be further from the truth. And our 4 homeopaths have more than 50 years of collective experience with homeopathy and with autism. The training that we all had were with Defeat Autism Now, who were doctors with kids on the spectrum. They did tons of research. They published a lot of research, and their goal was to improve the health of their kids, because when they saw that when the kids' health improved, that their behaviors improved. We took their findings and applied sound homeopathic principles in order to come up with both of our programs, both our individualized sequential program and this autism relief and support program, and put them all together in order to create something that could serve the now 1 in 38 children who are being diagnosed with autism. This is the latest study in the United States has reported that we are at 1 in 38. Actually, South Korea had hit 1 in 38 about 5 years ago. And so this is within the last 6 months that this, probably the last 3 or 4 months that this came out. I find this appalling. This study didn't even hit the media. We're here in the alternative world, in alternative medicine, and we're providing alternative information, but it is based on a lot of experience. And it's because we want to reach more children as affordably as possible. And one of the things that I just want to bring up is that Lyndall's son actually had Tourette's syndrome. My son had Asperger's syndrome. Both of them had official diagnoses. Both of them were about 98% improved with homeopathy before they grew up and life got in the way. My son actually just had to learn some study and social skills. So we're moms of kids who had already been hurt. Actually, our office staff, most of them have had kids on spectrum. So we know what you're going through, and we are trying to do this program as affordably as possible to create an outreach. We just want to reach as many kids as we can, because if 1 in 38 is on spectrum, that is not just on spectrum, that is autism, Asperger's, high functioning autism, PDD, NOS, all those things grouped together. Autism has grown to 1 in 38, and that is heartbreaking. There aren't even words anymore. When I saw this study, it didn't surprise me because I've been in this world for almost 20 years. And with my son, actually, for about, almost 26 years in about a week. And my son is doing great. He's moved his way up various job ladders. He's, lives completely independently. Best of all, he's off mom's payroll. He hates it when I say that. Lyndall's son is totally independent. We were, her situation, she was told that her son would probably never be independently able to live. Well, he's an Eagle Scout. He has saved people from drowning in rivers. His Tourette's syndrome is all but completely gone, other than maybe a mold exposure or extreme fatigue. Sometimes there's just a little bit that'll come back. My son, has tons of friends. He has more social life than I do. So we really understand what parents are going through. Okay, so let's get down to brass tacks now. Let's get a little more practical. And, this is all very practical. What is included in the package? We include professional homeopathic formulas that we have put together for detoxification support to help clear out the exit ramps. You want to make sure those exit ramps are going to be flowing before you can even consider trying to pull things out of the cells. So you want to support the liver, the lymphatics, the kidneys, the gut. So those are included. We try to boost the immune system very, very gently. And when I say boost, it's a rebalancing. Everything in homeopathy is balance. We have digestive supports because most of the kids have digestive issues. The gut is a big focus, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Most of the kids have fungal dysbiosis because even if they've never had an antibiotic, possibly, most likely, mom or dad or both have had antibiotics, and that fungal dysbiosis can actually be passed on in utero. So, and that fungal dysbiosis can often cause spaciness and that sort of thing. So we want to try to address that. We actually address mitochondrial problems, which also helps with both cellular energy and just their personal energy. And that's going to make them happier. And we also include 2 different professional strength custom probiotics. A little more on probiotics in a minute. We have really looked at probiotics. We've tried all kinds of things. And we wanted a couple of probiotics that could clearly say we had completely vetted to make sure that they are the best thing for autism. There are certain things that you need to know about probiotics. First of all, these are professional strength. You're not going to be able to just go online and buy something with 30 billion CFUs of probiotic easily. You typically are going to have to join somebody's practice, and you will have to become one of our clients. We'll talk about how to do that. You can't buy these online. These are our products that we have had, that we have chosen especially for their qualities for our kids with autism. It is a proprietary blend focused on our autism clients. And if you look on the back of your probiotic, some probiotics will say that they contain Streptococcus thermophilus, or sometimes it's abbreviated Strep Therm or S Therm. We want to avoid that. We discovered years ago that the probiotics that contain this, and actually yogurt, commercial kefir, and even some homemade yogurts and kefirs, the starters may contain Strep thermophilus, and yogurt and kefir actually create this strain, and it has been considered benign, but we have found that most of our kids are fairly high in Streptococcus, and when they are, this particular strain can actually be seen as an additional pathogen, which can either create or exacerbate irritability, aggression. If they have tics, it can make those worse, anxiety, or some active strep symptoms such as sore throats or ear infections. So you want to avoid those and avoid commercial yogurts. Now, should your child be on a probiotic? Absolutely. And here is one of our first case studies. This is pretty recent. A family just drilled a new water well at their home. They live out in the country. And after a few weeks of the new well water, everybody started having some oddball digestive complaints. And the child with autism had some mild behavioral and social regressions, and started having some loose stools, and his appetite was just off. They had the well tested, and the test came back showing coliform bacteria, so like E. coli, not a good thing to be swallowing on a daily basis. Immediately, of course, they quit using the well water, and the mom immediately said, I'm going to double up on probiotics until I can get hold of my homeopath. She had these all on hand, and very, very quickly, within the 3 days, not only had he returned to baseline, but he actually started making some more progress towards more language, more speech, more clarity, and he became more engaged and clearly focused. And I had permission to share his picture. So this young man has worked with me for a number of years, and, you know, periodically you just have a little corner that you turn, and in this case, the probiotics made a huge difference for him. So we're always happy when we hear that from our clients. So what should you expect from this program? And naturally, it's going to vary with every child. Every child is unique, and that is part of what homeopathy actually keys off of, is the uniqueness of each child. You know, there's a saying in autism, if you know one child with autism, you know one child with autism. Autism is a very broad brush, and it includes a lot of physiological and behavioral problems with kids. But we're trying to use a broad brush with this program that will gently, slowly, and steady get improvements for most of the kids who are on it. In fact, I dare say that so far, we have pretty much seen nothing but positives from everybody who's reported back, even after just a few days or a few weeks. Now, not everybody is going to have overnight changes, but we haven't seen any negative responses. We're seeing better digestive indications, like the constipation and the diarrhea getting better, some normalized stools. But again, I like to note, sometimes the stools will be very smelly when a child is detoxing. So don't get freaked out when you have Technicolor stools right off the bat or they smell really awful. If you're getting the bad stuff out, that's actually a good sign. That's where you want to see those things. We see improvements in appetites and food choices in a few of our kids. Better eye contact is usually one of the early things we see. And because we are focusing on fungal dysbiosis between the probiotics and the fungal remedies, we often will see that the kids who wake between 2 and 4 in the morning, that is usually an indicator of dysbiosis. So there's a little nugget you can take home. If your child is waking between 1 and 3 and stretches sometimes to 4 o'clock, if they're kind of giggly or just really happy when they wake up, then that's a sign of dysbiosis. And that's one of the factors that we take into account, because if the kids are sleeping, everybody's happier. So we want that. And again, just the happier, calmer disposition often needs to be an issue. Okay, I'm seeing a good question come up that I'm about to answer in just a second about becoming a client and not being in Texas. Our practice is located in Texas, but we do phone consults everywhere. And we have done phone consults, I would say 99.999% of the time for probably the last over 10 years. So if you're not in Houston, not a problem. So these are some of our frequently asked questions. I'm going to take just a moment to take a sip of water. Okay, so this is one of our first questions we get from people. Are these remedies hard to get into my kids? The answer is no. What you're going to get in this program as far as the homeopathic remedies are going to be liquid remedies. You can either drop them from the dropper into your child's mouth. Now try not to touch the dropper. And if you do touch their mouth with it, because kids are wiggly, then before you put it back in the bottle, just rinse it off in hot water and then put it back into the dropper bottle. You can put them straight into their mouth, or you can put them into like a little bathroom size paper cup and let them just slurp it down straight, or you can add just a tiny bit of water or juice. You don't want to put a lot in there because you want to make sure they get the whole dose of everything. And most of the kids, once they get the first couple of tastes, they don't really fight it, because most of the remedies taste like water, or they're actually slightly sweet. And the probiotics, you can easily open up the capsule and put it in a little water or juice, and the kids usually slurp them right down, no problem. Do we have to live in Houston to work with you? Absolutely not. We have worked with clients. We continually work with clients all over the U.S. with our sequential program. We have clients all around the world and all over the country. I think we've got have had over the years clients in every one of the 50 states and somewhere around, 20 or so foreign countries. Now, we have worked very successfully with them. However, we are limiting this package to U.S. clients just because the shipping costs and the custom regulations in foreign countries are going to run up the cost. So if you live in another country, that doesn't necessarily preclude doing it, but there are exchange fees and wiring fees and that kind of things that can eat your lunch. And we're trying to keep this affordable for everybody. But even if you're not in Houston, we have worked with our clients all over the country, all over the world for more than 15 years, and virtually everybody we work with is now phone, which makes it really convenient too. You don't have to take half a day off of work. Okay, why is so much in the autism package focused on gut health? First and foremost, there needs to be a focus in autism on the gut. Autism, we have said for years, we learned it from Defeat Autism Now, it is a gut problem. There is inflammation. The inflammation comes from a number of sources. It can come from gluten or casein in the diet that can inflame the gut, or GMOs. It can come from the vaccines themselves, measles, virus, rotavirus, all of those can inflame the gut. Toxins can inflame the gut. So that's one of the areas that we address with some of our digestive remedies. Most of the kids, as I mentioned earlier, have dysbiosis or fungus. There's a fungus among us. And 70% of the immune system is actually located in the gut. And if we don't have an immune system to work with, then we don't have anything to work with, because homeopathy is all about harnessing the immune system to get it to do the work. We're not chemically attacking pathogens. We're trying to support the whole body through, reducing the toxic burden, the pathogenic burden, and we're trying to promote a healthy gut, because then it's microbiome, all those little good guys and bad guys, we want to get those back in balance, so that microbiome, that is a huge part of the immune system itself. All the little gut bugs, the good guys and the bad, are a part of how the immune system is going to function. And there is definitely a connection. They're now theorizing it's through the vagus nerve, that the gut and the brain are directly connected. Now, homeopathy has known that for over 200 years, but medical science, modern medical science, quote unquote, is finally catching up to what homeopathy has known for years. The toe bone is connected to the head bone, and the gut is very definitely attached to the brain and the immune system. So when we focus on a child's gut, a lot of the pieces just kind of fall into place like a domino effect. When we can get that gut working, we're going to get the most bang for the buck by reducing the inflammation, by rebalancing that gut flora, and supporting the immune system generally from the gut as our first launching pad. And most important, and this one I want you to make big stars next to your note. So many of our kids have gut pain, which is driving all kinds of autism behaviors. The things that are defined as, quote, autism often are gut pain, head banging, pushing on their gut, seeking pressure on the gut. Some of our kids, they just want their tummies rubbed, and I'm going to talk about one in a minute. So our first approach is and always has been to get the kids out of pain, because when they have pain, there's no resources left to make themselves feel better. And this program is very much aimed at gut pain relief and inflammation and dysbiosis. Now, this little guy, his name is Cy, and by the time he came to us, he was a little past this stage, but not a lot. He was about this age, I think that was about age 4, 4.5, 5. But you can still see it's kind of that Asperger's-like smile. I called my son Mr. Aspie. It was an affectionate term, and I love him dearly. But he did, it was like smile for the camera, and this would be what we would get. Kind of that forced, grimace teeth smile. Now, Mom had done tons of ABA, and she'd done a lot of supplements and things like that. And he was really way down the road. He had a fair amount of language. But when we started working with him, he was complaining. He'd climb in his mom's lap and say, "Rub my tummy, tummy hurts, tummy hurts." And after a few short months, he started feeling better. And as you can see, this is a kid that's genuinely happy. That is just a neurotypical as it gets smile. And Lyndall and I had the opportunity to meet this young man, and it was quite an opportunity. So he is off and flying. So does this program work with other things that you may be doing with your child? Absolutely. There are some things that it works with, and there are some things that will be a problem, and your homeopath will advise you. So when you fill out your intake form, we do ask you to include medications, supplements, herbals, even essential oils that you might be doing with your child. We need to know about it, not because there's going to be a problem with the homeopathy interfering with what else you're doing, but what you're doing may interfere with homeopathy. It is gentle medicine, and therefore the homeopathy can actually be fairly sensitive to drugs and their side effects. Some of the supplements, such as probiotics that have strep thermophilus. If you're doing another person's somebody else's probiotic or something you pick up at the store, you want to check it and make sure it doesn't have strep thermophilus. But I will tell you that we send out a month of each of 2 different probiotics and suggest that you do a month on one and a month on the other when you finish it. And your homeopath will go into that. Plus, we've got some support materials on how to do that. You just don't want to do things that are going to mask or interfere with what the homeopathy is doing. And certainly, we don't want you being on something that, sometimes the kids are sensitive to additives in their supplements, and that can be a problem that the homeopathy as gentle medicine may not be able to overcome. So make your homeopath aware of those things. Now, there are some things that we do suggest. We don't require it. It's not, written in stone, but we have found that a gluten-free, casein-free, corn-free, soy-free, organic, mostly organic or entirely organic diet, free from preservatives, they can have the same effect as the strep thermophilus. Preservatives, colors, and GMOs can often inflame the gut and ramp up systemic inflammation. And again, our high strep kids, those are going to have an excitotoxic effect, which means it stirs the brain into high activity, but it also is going to act to kill brain cells. There's quite a bit of work out there on excitotoxicity and excitotoxins in our food in autism. If you Google that, you're going to find some great information out there. You want to avoid those because it's going to be tough for homeopathy as these highly dilute, gentle medicines to overcome it. And we also, if your child is really yeasty, if he gets drunken sailor type giggly, falling down, this isn't really funny and why is he doing this behavior? Or again, waking between 1 and 3 to 4 in the morning, then they may have dysbiosis and sugar is going to feed the bad guys in the gut. Now, I want to talk a little bit about essential oils because a lot of kids do well on them, but while you're doing homeopathic remedies, we really suggest you avoid them because the stronger odors can actually completely kill, if you will, your homeopathy right in their bottles if they're stored together, or you're nebulizing where you store the homeopathy. But your child also may have their remedies antidoted by some of the stronger oils. And we really want you to get your money's worth out of this program. You're putting the time and the energy to do this. You don't want things to get bad. All right, so how can you become a client of Homeopathy Center of Houston? Let me put the information up here so that you can easily click on the link. Over on your right, there is a link that you should see that should have popped up. If there's a little red box with 3 dots. If you don't see it, click on the little rectangle on the right side of your screen with the 3 dots, and that will bring up both the chat box if you haven't seen it, and it will bring up a link. We do have appointments available pretty quickly. There's not a long waiting list. Usually we can get people in within the first week and a half, 2 weeks. These are short appointments, so we can work them into our schedule. But you don't want to delay your child's healing. So how do you become a client? Now, let's get me back where I can move my slide again. Uh-oh. Where did that come from? Okay. To become a client, just follow the link and it's going to take you straight to our intake and payment forms. And once we have those in our office, then we will set your appointment for you. We'll give you a call. We'll try to contact you by email. And once you have done your first consultation, you are a client. But we have to have that intake form. All of what we are selling are going to be practitioner only products. You can't buy them over the counter. We don't sell them to anyone but our clients, because we want to make sure you know what you're up against as far as what we know about autism, and we want you to be very comfortable with what you're doing. But once we get your paperwork in our office and get your appointment set and you do that, you are off and running. So just, you can click on that bar to sign up. Excuse me. All right, a word about essential oils. I just want to talk again. Oils can negatively affect the action of the remedies. The strong aromatics, especially mints, eucalyptus, menthol, or other similar odors, we absolutely know for a fact can antidote the homeopathy. We've had parents that they couldn't figure out why they weren't seeing anything happen, and we go down the list and we go, "Are you doing essential oils?" "Oh, well, yeah, but they really help my child." "Okay, well, the reason the homeopathy is not helping them also is because they really don't mix real well. And so the other thing is, again, you don't want to store your homeopathics and your oils together. You don't want to store your homeopathic remedies where you're nebulizing, because it truly can actually destroy the homeopathics right in the bottle, and we would hate for that to happen. So we usually suggest, especially while you're first starting any new program, try using, the things that don't harm it. But if you're concerned about it, and we definitely are concerned about the oils, just set them aside while you're introducing it, especially. And you try our program, and it seems to be giving you some improvements. If then you reintroduce the oils and the child starts going backwards, that's going to be a sign that you're antidoting with the oils. I love oils. They have a place, definitely, but not while you're doing homeopathy. Okay, so takeaway points from here before we get to our Q&A. We want you to remember, every child who has an autism label, or maybe doesn't have that label, but has displayed the symptoms that are common to autism, they are not hopeless. They are not helpless. There are improvements to be had through homeopathy, through supplements, through a lot of different things. Holistic medicine has helped more kids with autism than I can begin to count. Not just what we do, but other things as well. Don't stop digging. Don't let anyone tell you that autism is merely a mental illness. It is primarily a physiological illness that causes downstream behavioral aspects that are a response to illness and pain. And it is a gut disease first. So always consider what your child is eating, whether there's dysbiosis, whether there are things that are causing them pain. If they're banging their head, they have gut pain. So you want to pay attention to the gut. Always, always, always. Never, ever, ever give up your hope for your child. So another question, of course, is what does it cost? At less than $7.35 a day, we send out a 2-month supply, because each of these bottles will last roughly 2 months, give or take a little bit. And that may vary, and your homeopath may have to advise you on a little more or a little less, but on average, it's going to last you 2 months. And at $440 for a full 2-month supply and a consultation. So that includes a consult fee and the shipping and handling to your door. So it's pretty convenient. So for less than $7.35 a day, which is about the cost of a cup of coffee shop coffee every day, I think that's a pretty small price to pay to improve your child's quality of life. Your child can benefit. And as I've said, virtually all of the people that we've talked to so far have said they're seeing benefits from their kids. Sometimes it's slow and steady, 1 or 2 steps here and there. You may not see everything improve at once. They may not be dramatic. Stick with it. Give it at least 2 to 4 months. And most everybody within the first month that we've spoken to has had some level of improvement. And if there's improvements, that means your child feels better. And that's what it's about. All right, let's open up the chat here. Okay, the chat is open. And I need to open mine. Let's see. All right, so what kind of support is a client? Now, this program is minimal support. We include a 10-minute consult, but you have access to a private. We're working within the next week to 2 weeks. We should have a private site, but you will receive video help after the fact. If you have a question that's pretty straightforward and simple, the office is typically going to be able to answer those over the phone. If it's, 1 or 2 questions, if it's something about dosing, or, hey, my child is, got green polka dots and his eyes are spinning around, it's like, well, that's a little more complex. But you're a client at that point. You don't have to pay for a big, expensive initial consult. We've got your paperwork. We've done an initial 10 minutes to get to know you. We will answer things over the phone if they're short and pretty straightforward. But if you have something more complex, you're a client and you can schedule a paid consult. The consults are typically a 30-minute consult at our regular fees, which are $140. So that 10 minutes is actually included. Right there, you're getting about $50 to $60 worth of our time rolled into the program right up front. And you will have a 10-minute consult every time you reorder the program, which, as I said, is about every 2 months. So we do have a 10-minute built-in consult about every 2 months when you reorder. And like I said, short questions, we're happy to answer. There's no charge for that if we can answer them quickly. If it's a little more complex, then we'll deal with it. Okay, another quick question. Is it possible to view this webinar later? Very definitely. When we finish with this, you'll get an email with a replay link and you'll be able to watch it later. You can let your friends know and they can sign up for emails. Or I think you can share that link as well. All right, classic OCD, not the kind caused by pandas. That is probably going to not be something that this program is aimed at. Really, this program is very gut focused. Most OCD does have either a strep aspect to it, or it has some neurotransmitter issues. So that's really, that's going to be more in the realm of a more individualized approach, not really going to be the realm of this. This is focused on gut. Now, I also need to mention that we have an emotional support dropper in this program, and some of our kids do see that it helps with some anxiety that goes with OCD. So a few of our kids are showing a little less OCD, but if strep is a big piece, like for pandas, pans, cans, whatever the latest name is for it, that's going to be more in the realm of individualized approach. Okay, how long is this offer good for? This is the price. This isn't a hot deal today. We're not used car salesmen, and I don't like that approach. Mostly that offer link is there for your convenience, so you can sign up very easily and quickly. And you can also use it if you replay the webinar for the information. You definitely can click on that link, and it will take you straight to the same offer. It's not going to be a, hey, you got to sign up today thing. That said, right now, we do have appointments available. So, the other thing is you don't want to put off your child's healing. This is something that virtually every child can benefit from who is on spectrum. In fact, even kids that aren't very far on spectrum, I would say if your child has a little ADD, I think they're going to benefit because the gut is going to be involved. The dysbiosis is going to be involved. So, okay, I'm seeing a really, really long question here that I'm going to let Lyndall answer privately about homeopathic potencies. The potencies in this are of a nature that they can pretty much stand up to supplements. They can stand up to a history of some drugs. We work on with some fairly low potencies because we don't want to go on archaeological digs, because the higher potencies will go back farther in time. There are certain remedies also that even in low potencies act on emotional sides of things that are included in the package. Okay, this program is not a customized, it's our one-size-fits-all program, because that way we can keep the cost as low as possible and reach the greatest number of kids. We do have a variety of potencies, a variety of remedies that are blanket remedies, I guess you would say, and potencies that I would say virtually all the kids who have done the program are going to benefit. There are some mostly low potencies, but there are higher potencies in a few of them. Most everything is going to be 30C and below, because we don't want to go poking and bringing toxins and pathogens to the surface. That's going to be the realm of our more individualized, and of course that's going to be more expensive. It's going to take more of our time. That's going to be our sequential homeopathy program. But that said, even if you're not sure which way to go, this is a great starting place for just trying to add homeopathy to what you're doing, or maybe just trying it on its own, or maybe you're new to autism or new to homeopathy. This program is really designed as a starter program, and at the same time, a lot of our parents, this may be what they can afford. Maybe they can, you know, dump that 1 cup of coffee if they're getting more sleep from this program, and they won't even miss that cup of coffee. So it's not a customized program. This program is our relief and support program. And it is meant to all be done at once, other than I sometimes will suggest that a child will start the detox for just a few days and ease into that, just to get all of those exit ramps flowing. So, okay, so no, this is not an individualized program. Everybody starts with the same remedies and continues with the same remedies for as long as they want to do it. But the program does address the gut issues very strongly, and that's why I focused on a lot of that. Okay, can I have the consult and just get the probiotics? I'm going to let Lyndall make that decision. The probiotics are available as an extra, as an add-on, but these are meant for our clients. You would need to put in your paperwork at the very least. Right now, we really are not into selling products. That's not what we do. Even though this program sort of does that, it's to make it as affordable as possible to as many as possible. Okay, I just missed one. Okay, is there a focused treatment regimen for nonverbal kids? All right, this program, we have had a child who reportedly started speaking in meaningful language for the first time in 10 years. I would say that is not going to be the norm for this program. We have a focused, individualized program that we have had a lot of kids who are nonverbal who have fully recovered. That's our sequential homeopathy program. And I am actually going to type a link if you're interested in more information on that. You can go to our website. and read more about that program. But this program is non-individualized, and I can't guarantee that a nonverbal child will become verbal. We have had one who did. We've had some that had a few words that improved. So there is a possibility. When we start treating the gut, it's a domino effect, and we never know what kind of positives may come along. So, all right, I'm going to wind things down now. You've given me about an hour of your time. I thank you for taking time out of your morning or afternoon to spend with us. If you do have more questions, we are happy to talk with you. Just give our office a call. So give me just a moment here. Okay, why are we not moving? Okay, again, I keep going back to Winnie and his never, never, never give up. Okay, if you don't see improvements, no, there are no refunds. Nobody can guarantee anything in healthcare. And I'm going to tell you, anybody who says, oh, I give you a money back guarantee if your child with autism does not get better, I would worry about that. I'm not going to guarantee improvements. Nobody in their right mind in healthcare can guarantee improvements. There are, I would say, trillions of variables, and but we are making this about as affordable as anything out there, where you're receiving oversight from a professional with, we've all got 15 to 20 years experience with homeopathy. We've all got homeopathy and autism experience in excess of 15 years. I would say that, there isn't a better value out there, but the thing is, I know that not a single child is going to do this and walk away without feeling somewhat better or detoxing a little bit. So now, no refunds. Sorry about that. Nobody in healthcare can do that. We are a practice. We can't guarantee it. All right. We hope that you've gotten a lot of information. We try to pack a lot of, what you can do right now, things about the diet, things about the gut. I want to thank you all for joining us, and I hope you'll give it a try. Let's start healing your child now.